Guys, it's working? Ah, okay. Should I start it over? Okay. So I was saying, well, I'm going to start from
Yeah,
scratch.
go ahead.
So I'm here to help introduce what you are actually presenting today, which is the most important thing. But I wanted to give some insight about why someone from the public, from the government, from the presidency of the government, has pushed someone in the private sector to create something new. And I was telling the story that more than 10 years ago, I was an entrepreneur myself. I launched my own startup. It became the fastest growing startup in the country. We sold. It was a very interesting story, like an old story. The thing is, at that time, we had the president who made the promise. And the promise was that they were going to deploy a red carpet for entrepreneurs. The thing is, I was starting up, and everything was so much difficult, even more difficult than it is to become an entrepreneur today. And that's why, well, now that I'm in the public, there's a lot of people that sometimes get surprised why in my suit, I'm not wearing the jacket, but why I wear white sandals. And it's because there was not red carpet for me. So I needed to work with this and get ready for every terrain. Actually, being an entrepreneur in 2010 was very, very rocky. The thing is that things have changed, and we wanted to see a change in the public. So as an entrepreneur, I said, okay, if nobody is going to fulfill that promise, we need to make a step forward and start making this. That's why in 2017, I started my political adventure, but in 2020, thanks to the president of government, we decided to create the High Commissioner for Spain Entrepreneurial Nation. So we are basically creating a startup in the presidency of government. We have presented a strategy for the country about what needs to be done in the next 10 coming years. We have introduced in that strategy 50 measures, and we have a budget of 4.2 billion euros, not to talk about the startup law. So we have this new body in the presidency of government who is perfect to interact with the ecosystem. And we started meeting tons and tons of people. And we met Pablo, but we also met Irene, and we met many other many other people who were saying, we need to do something about entrepreneurs. We need to support them better. And I said, okay, this is great. We shared that. We already published a strategy. But if we are going to start working together, one of the things that was told to me is that in politics, you need to do everything with everybody. The problem with that motto is that the day has 24 hours, and there's so many people and so many projects that the same way that the government and the public finally crystallized in one body that has the ability to talk with the ecosystem, it was needed that we didn't have so many actors. Well, I mean, it's great that we have so many actors working in different dimensions, but at least we needed some consensus on what needs to be done in order to support entrepreneurs, to create alliances, to promote public policies, to pass laws, to allocate budgets, to create projects that are going to change the environment. And I asked Pablo, and I asked many others, you need to work on your side. You need to create one voice that can interact with the public, that has advanced a lot in the last 2 years, so we can start working together. And as you said, this conversation was only 7 months ago, and the only thing I can do is to congratulate you and the team that you brought together to put together these voices so we can start working now. I just wanted to say, and this is something that, and I want to end with a historical note, just to understand why this is happening and why we have we hold this vision. I think that when I was an entrepreneur, I was reading so many books about entrepreneurship, and when you read about these books, you read about investment, you read about your first consumers, your early evangelists, your investors, and so many stakeholders that you have as an entrepreneur. But none of these books that at least I read at that time, and the books I see nowadays are the same, none of these books talk about one main and fundamental stakeholder, particularly in European countries. That is government and public administrations. There are so many things that the public and the private sector can do together, and that we have been blind to everything that we can do. We need to start accelerating, not only in the public, but also in the private sector, so we can have voices and start interacting. The reason is that it's been like this forever, and we just decided to forget about this in the last century. And I will tell a story that I think is quite self-explanatory. 500 years ago, we had someone who created the first venture capital funds, and it was Isabel la Católica. And she was followed by Charles I. And I will always love to tell this story. Charles I was the one who gave 5 votes and a team of more than 200 people to Magellan and to Juan Sebastián Elcano. And they were entrepreneurs. They were adventurous people who wanted to do something that nobody had done before. They wanted to go and navigate the globe for the first time. They were given these 5 votes and these 200 people and a lot of money to do this, to go on in this adventure. And they became the first people. Actually, Juan Sebastián Elcano, the Spanish one, was the only one who returned, not with 200 people, but only with 18 people and a boat that they had to self-made in that trip of more than 3 years ago. And it's now 500 years from that. And they accomplished the first trip around the Earth. That trip provided our country with tons of knowledge about routes, about economy, but also about botanics and finance. And also, for example, this trip allowed humankind to talk for the first time about universal history. All this knowledge provided our country, Spain, yes, Spain, a progress that was unparalleled during more than 4 centuries. We decided to forget about that at the beginning of the 20th century. For reasons I'm not going to explain, we also had a dictatorship. But at the end of the 20th century, and now at the beginning of the 21st century, we need to get rid of this, to look back at history, to see how adventurous we were, how great entrepreneurs we were, and that we did it because we knew that we needed to join forces, both the public and the private. So again, I congratulate you for making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francisco. So with this entrepreneurial spirit, we always think, in an ecosystem of the protagonists, that definitely are the entrepreneurs. But the organizations behind the launch, the birth, the growth, the internationalization of these entrepreneurs are also critical in the ecosystem, because no one gets buff without a great personal trainer. And who is talking about the personal trainers? Who is talking about the people that are supporting and really connecting all the other actors? We believe that the group of EmprendES, that we needed to step up and we needed to start looking into the challenges of entrepreneurship support organizations, ESOs, and this is exactly what we did. So today I'm going to share a bit, if you can play the slide just in a second, but basically one of the things that we did is first we started to identify, is this a problem? Do we all feel that entrepreneurship support organizations, we really need to get together and have a unified voice? From that, we started to identify challenges and petitions. We all have great ideas, but it's like, okay, great, we all have our ego, but how can we really, from a humble position, to say who is surrounding the ecosystem? So we started looking into, with the support, and I have here Ana Fernandez Laviada from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor that really supported us in this process, so that we started to see, okay, who are the actors that we've already identified by looking at secondary sources, and we made a list of around 231 entrepreneurship support organizations in Spain. We categorized them in 4 categories: public ESOs, private ESOs that were not corporate, so corporate ESOs, and then university-driven ESOs. And we started to look into all of them, where they were located, the type of things that are public. And then from that, we said, we're going to focus on the private ESOs that are not corporate. And we started to identify very, very insightful data that we're going to share today with you in this preliminary pilot study that we've made. This is just the first step. With the support of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, we will continue. And from here already, I make a request to any organization that knows, any person that knows an entrepreneurship super organization to get in touch with us. So is the PowerPoint working? Otherwise, I'm going to... I cannot see anything. Okay, so I'm going to invite the speakers of today. So we're going to have, let's come here to the stage, Irene Milleiro from Ashoka, Sara Simon from Youth Business Spain, and Antonio Gonzalez from Impact Hub, Madrid. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for being here. It's really a privilege to have you here, and I'm really excited to share the study. So let's go. Irene, you're going to start to talk about the ESOs, the private ESOs, and the word is yours.
Thank you, Pablo. Well, as Pablo said, the first step was to try to understand better this ecosystem of private entrepreneurship support organizations. So what we did was to conduct a survey and a pilot study to try to understand the similarities and the differences, and to be able to talk about this ecosystem through data. And this is what the highlights of what the data says about these 31 organizations that responded. The first thing is that all the directors and the CEOs of these organizations have been in the ecosystem for more than 7 years. The second thing is that between the organizations that have responded to the study, they have historically supported 25,000 entrepreneurs, and 3,000 of them only in 2021. Apparently, it's a lot. So I'll let you think if 25,000 is a lot or not too many. I think that's something to be discussed. The other highlight is like, what are the types of organizations? So out of these 31, 15 of them are limited liability companies, 12 of them have a non-profit status, and 2 of them were venture capital firms. And then one of the other headlines is that their main focus right now of these organizations is the acceleration phase. 48% of them work in particular on the acceleration phase. The scope of action of the organizations continues to be mostly Spain, different regions in Spain, but many of them are starting to work at the European level, followed by Latin America. And through this data, we also could observe 2 important gaps. The first one was the gender gap. So 77% of these entrepreneurial support organizations support more men than women. They don't have parity in the support of entrepreneurs yet. And the other gap is the socioeconomic gap. So around 60% of the ESOs do not know or do not support entrepreneurs that have an income of less than 20,000 euros per year. So we see here like 2 important gaps that is important probably to address in the future. And with this first data, also our next step was to ask these organizations, what are the challenges that you have? And the study shows a list of challenges that we have grouped under 4 categories right now. One are the challenges that have to do with the economic viability of the ESOs themselves. The second challenge is related, but it's like limited capital to support entrepreneurs, which we know is a challenge in the Spanish ecosystem. The third one is the difficulty for people that want to be entrepreneurs to actually have information and understanding about the system that is there, the systems that is there to support them. So there's no clear, organized organization. People don't have access to that information, sorry. And then the fourth category is like operational and logistical and programmatic challenges of different sorts. You probably will be able to see more in the data of the study. I'm going to leave it there.
Oh, it's right here. You can see the study on the screen. Thank you so much, Irene.
Welcome.
So now I'm going to give the word to Sara, who is going to talk about the petitions, the requests that we, as the 31 members of the 62 private ESOs that we've identified, what we agreed and consensuated. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. As you say, we have ended up turning all this data into a series of petitions to look for a change in the ecosystem, because even if different than 10 years ago when Paco started his adventure as an entrepreneur, we believe that there are still some challenges. And we are trying to group this data into this serious petition to promote an ecosystem that facilitates a real support of the public sector, and also to attract the investor. We have grouped this in 3 main areas with the order of priority of these 31 organizations that Irene mentioned. One is improve incentives to entrepreneurs to feel them support when they start their business ideas. Also to the investors to facilitate an ecosystem that promote a national and foreign investor, and also for this entrepreneur support organization to make us feel supported and recognized in the ecosystem and with the public sector. This is one of the areas. The other one is a straight alliance dissemination. As Paco mentioned, agreement with the public administration is essential to us in this petition. Also, support of the dissemination, what we are doing, our program, who we are and what we do, what we offer to these entrepreneurs who are starting their business idea, and also a single channel of communication with the public sector to detect opportunities in these fields we have in common. And third is to generate a legal framework that adapts to the current market. We know we are working in this startup law, and we think we have to recognize this EOS, the Entrepreneur Support Organization, be in this law that everybody is citing, and there are a lot of people waiting his approval, but we want to be there in this law too. And the legal figure for social companies and the company who has a purpose. So these are the 3 main areas where we classify our petitions.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So as you can see, lots of petitions, lots of work ahead, but we're not alone. We know that together we're stronger. So I'm going to give the word to Antonio, that he's going to tell us a bit more about what's next. Who are we meeting with? Thank you, Antonio.
Yes, thank you, Pablo. We wouldn't like to end up this event just asking and demanding from others. So let us share with you some of the actions that we are planning to get involved in the coming months. And finally, to make a call to action. Okay. The first thing is that we are already working on the second edition of this study. We need to gather more information. We need to gather more organizations to complete the picture of the sector. And we are very happy to have the support of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor in this task. They have validated this first edition, and we are going to work together. We are craving for that, and thank you very much, Anna, for being here with us today. Okay. Well, the second thing that we are thinking is that we will open conversations and meet with administration representatives of all the administration in the 3 levels, at national, regional, and local. We want to share with them our proposals and our mission and try to work together to make a stronger entrepreneurship ecosystem in our country. We have already started. We have here the High Commissioner that has been with us in this event, and we are planning to start other conversation in these 3 levels of the administration. And third, we would also like to appeal to the private sector. We think that it is important to start conversation not only with corporations, but also with associations, with professional associations, with foundations also, in order to share this vision and try to work together with the same aim of getting a stronger ecosystem. And last but not least, we make a call for anyone who feels identified with the proposal that we are doing with EmprendES, that feel that this could be its house, his house or her house, just to call us, because we have the door open, and the hand and the arms open as well, just to join forces, to work together, just to develop the ecosystem in our country for the entrepreneurs. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Antonio. So that's it. We know that together we're stronger. The pie today is this big. If we all get together, we will make the pie bigger. This is the startup law. And yeah, so this is just the beginning. I really want to thank all the EmprendES members that are here with us today. It's really a privilege to have you. And thank you to all of you. Once again, if you know of any entrepreneurship support organization, private, that will feel that this is the place, get in touch with us. And thank you once again for coming with us this morning. Thank you.